Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Monday, November 11, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has fired an employee accused of instructing Florida relief workers not to go to homes with yard signs supporting Donald Trump. Well, she says that's not what happened. She'll be joining us in a Roland Martin Unfiltered exclusive. Trump is demanding his MAGA minions block any judicial appointments until he's sworn in. That's pretty stupid. And folks, the world is truly laughing at us. Scottish leaders get into a heated exchange over congratulating the orange man on winning. Plus, we'll examine how Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter may have helped Donald Trump rise to political power. In addition to that, guess what? Lying simply works. I'll explain. Plus, our Fit, Live, Win segment, we'll talk to a psychotherapist about processing post-election trauma. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, folks, lots of conversation over the weekend after the Daily Wire published a story that said a Federal Emergency Management Agency employee told folks there in Florida not to go to the homes of folks who had Donald Trump signs on their property. About 20 Lake Placid, Florida homes were skipped over and did not receive door-to-door service. Now, this, of course, led to lots of outrage. You had Republicans like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis calling this discrimination. You had MAGA folks saying this is shameful and despicable. You've had FEMA apologizing for this. Well, Marn'i Washington says the homes were skipped due to political hostility aimed at the workers. Now, you remember, in North Carolina, some federal FEMA workers were met with guns from folks in that particular state. Marn'i Washington, who is that employee who was fired, joins us now from California for this exclusive interview. Marn'i, glad to have you here. So let's walk through this. First of all, when were you notified? Because the Daily Wire said there was a whistleblower who made this point. Go ahead.
I was notified after I demobbed. The next morning, they told me verbally I was fired, but they never provided me anything in writing stating that I was fired. They all alleged that these actions were made on my own recognizances and that it was for my own political advances. However, if you look at the record, there is what we call a community trend. And unfortunately, it just so happened that the political hostility that was encountered by my team, and I was on 2 different teams during this deployment, they just so happened to have the Trump campaign signage. FEMA always preaches avoidance first and then de-escalation. So this is not isolated. This is a colossal event of avoidance, not just in the state of Florida, but you will find avoidance in the Carolinas. Senior leadership will lie to you and tell you that they do not know. But if you ask the DSA crew leads and specialists what they are experiencing in the field, they will tell you. Demand for FEMA to give you those incident reports. They will substantiate what is happening to us in the field.
Okay, so let's go through that. And you also sent a text message to folks, and you said, my civilian job has severed ties based on their core values, which is based on FEMA's determination of firing me. You laid the core values. You said, which of these did I violate? You said, I did not vote for Kamala. I'm nonpartisan. FEMA did not give me fairness. They violated their own values. They know homes are being skipped due to political hostile encounters. So when you say you didn't vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, did you not vote at all in this election?
Correct.
And so
I didn't even have an opportunity to vote at all in this election due to the amount of deployment requests and the high demand of help that is needed with FEMA.
So, okay, so you normally do vote. You simply didn't vote in this election.
Correct.
Okay, so let's go through this. And again, they say you skipped the homes. And so when you talk about the incident reports, have you released those publicly? Have you released the report saying this is where I notified FEMA executives of these particular homes and how they were hostile to our workers?
So I have not relinquished any reports. And any time that we relinquish reports, we do not state specific homes due to PII. What we do is we discuss community trends. So if we are noticing, for example, on Mary Street, you'll find 3 or 4 homes that we tried to canvass and we were greeted with unwelcomed arms, or people are coming out guns blazing or he's screaming at us, then that's a street we need to avoid altogether.
Okay, so let's so first and foremost, is you work with, is it Avanath?
Oh, that's my civilian job, Avanath, yes.
Okay, so, okay, all right. So I'm sorry. So explain us civilian job and fired from FEMA for folks who don't understand.
Yes, at home I have a regular job like everyone else. I have an executive position. I take care of things there. For that job, I'm in contract with them on their terms. And then for FEMA, I work as a reservist. So my time for them is on call based on deployment orders that I receive.
So explain them when you say the deployment. FEMA's not military, so what does that actually mean?
Deployment means that they are asking you to leave your resident of records and to respond to a natural disaster on United Nations land.
Okay, and that, so how long had you been working in this capacity with FEMA?
Since 2019.
Since 2019. So you had worked other disasters around the country.
Correct, and I always exceed the expectation, and I come highly recommended.
Okay, so when they say a FEMA employee, are you technically a FEMA employee or contract?
I am an employee. There's different forms of hire with FEMA. You can be a reservist, you can be a PFT, which is a full-time employee, or you can be part of the Corps where you work 50 weeks out of the year. You can also contract with FEMA as well. So there's various forms of employment with FEMA. So not only were you fired from FEMA, go to my iPad, your civilian, so your other job with Avanath, you've been fired from that job too. They actually did that in writing, yes.
Okay, so what did they say you violated? First of all, what kind of company is this? I've never heard of it. What kind of company is it?
It is a property management company. They are nationwide. I am a regional manager. Well, I was a regional manager for that property. I took care of their portfolios for various different acquisitions within it. I'm not sure what core values I have violated there because my actions with FEMA have nothing to do with them at all.
Yeah, so I'm reading this, and this is from a Pat Gaudin, Gaudin. It says, I regret to inform you that your employment with Avanath is being terminated effective November 15, 2024. However, your last day working with Avanath will be effective immediately due to violation of the company's core values and workplace policies. Due to the nature of your absence, I will work directly with you for the return of all Avanath equipment and community access items. Your benefits will terminate on November 30th. Then it goes to final payment, things along those lines. So this is Pat Gaudin, Executive Vice President, Human Resources. So they never explained to you what you violated?
No. They haven't, and this is all because of FEMA's doing. They allowed a partnering company to leak internal communication and then relinquish all of my personal contact information. So FEMA didn't just jeopardize me. They also put my own company that I work for at home in jeopardy because all this information's on LinkedIn. And FEMA has not gone after these people that has leaked this information, that has breached our policies.
So you talked about hostility. This was a text message that you sent us where one of the folks out there said, "Good morning, LeGros Road is politically hostile. We are not canvassing this street any further. Moved on to North Lakeview Road. Great decision. Thanks for the update."
Exactly. So my senior leadership was aware of the amount of encounters that was going on in the field. Again, this was my second time and a second crew in Florida and experiencing unwelcomed behavior from the residents. Now, not all Floridians have been unpleasant, but for the most part, the ones that are very passionate about their disdain for FEMA, they have no problem expressing it.
So walk us through this. You also sent us this, and it says how it works. Purple paint marks. Property owners can paint vertical lines of purple paint on trees or posts along the perimeter of their property. It said why it's important for safety, clear boundaries, avoiding accidents. The purple paint clearly communicates that entry onto the land is prohibited without permission, reducing the risk of trespassing-related confrontations. So explain to us what this means, what this is.
It means they can shoot you. If they don't have the sign up that says that they will shoot you, purple rocks and painting of trees means you are likely to be shot. It means you're unwelcome. Do not come.
So,
and they mean that by force.
So if the purple paint is there, that's giving you permission to come onto their property?
No, you do not enter. That's why the word avoidance is down there.
Okay. So,
yes.
So again, for people who don't know, so these are FEMA's rules, correct?
Yes.
So if the property owner uses purple paint on their property,
you stay away.
And first of all, how does the property owner even get this information?
So this is something that FEMA has learned over the years from responding to natural disasters under the Stafford Act. So from community trends, you start learning when you take these notation from field intel. If a community has the purple rocks or painted trees, they learned over time that you are met with aggression usually, or they do not want you on their property at all. Instead of just simply placing a, privacy sign, no trespassing, they would rather paint purple.
Okay. So I get what I'm trying to understand. So if you turned in reports to your supervisors that state political hostility for the people in the field, those reports exist.
Yes, hence why I also sent you screenshots where they're deleting files now from my computer. So FEMA says they fired me, but I still have access to the systems and their applications. And while I was in an interview yesterday, I noticed that my files were being deleted in my name, and I could not have been doing that while I was talking to Madison. So FEMA is very well aware of the incidents that take place, not just with my crew, but with all of the crews in the state that's declared. And instead of just saying, hey, this is how we're going to mitigate it to protect our people, they decided to fire me and make sure Donald Trump knows that they are loyal to him because they fear retribution.
So, okay, so explain what this chart here is. So you sent us this map and it has these dots on it. So what does this actually mean?
So what that means is that shows you every home in that area. Each dot is a home.
Okay.
And that home, that dot gives you intel of if I was able to register that person, if I was only giving them resources, if I wasn't able to access the property. There's all kind of things in that data for that one dot. So when someone says that oh, there was at least 20 homes missed, or we didn't do this, or we didn't do that. We have to put that into context, because this was a breach from a partnering company that FEMA hired, the surge capacity team, which are usually just TSA workers. They took it upon themselves to say, we want to go and register these homes, knowing that it is hostile and it could possibly endanger the rest of the team. So because they didn't get what they wanted, they went and sent this information out and misled the people that we just bypassed these homes. We omitted these homes for safety precautions, not because of political plight. Like, no one cares about that. We want to make sure people can register.
So when you say for political, so describe for me what political hostility means. Is it...
People will tell you, I don't like FEMA. That's part of the Biden-Harrison campaign. You guys are lying to people. You're not helping people. You don't even give people the essential needs funding, the $750. A lot of people think...
So when the people... So again, I just want to try to understand. So when the people who out in the field reporting to you, were they approaching these homes, knocking on the door, or people out there in the yard saying this? And so when that homeowner makes these statements, then what then does the worker do? Does the worker say, "Sir, ma'am, thank you very much"? And do they then notate political hostility? Do they move to the next house?
Yes, they are to de-escalate and disengage immediately, walk away from the home, complete the notation of what the encounter was, and move on to the next home.
Does FEMA have that documented, that this is the way it's supposed to be done?
Oh, yes. Ask them for it.
So FEMA has documents that show that, oh, field worker, if you run into anyone who is politically hostile or is hostile to you as a worker, you're saying they are to de-escalate, thank you very much, and keep moving, and then make a notation of that particular home of whatever that specific encounter was.
Right. You put down in the notes, hey, this was an unwelcome encounter. Their firm, do not return. Whatever you need to get the message clear, this is not a home we need to go back and canvass. You have to understand, when we go out here in the field, we don't have security detail. We do not have police detail. We are all we have in the field. And FEMA will tell you very quick, if avoidance and de-escalation does not work, please call your local authorities.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is, so first of all, how many homes did the team that you were over, how many homes did they survey?
Oh, I don't have that number. That's why I showed you the map.
What, so
that map gives you an aerial view of one specific area.
So what you sent us were all the homes that your team processed.
Yes.
So we're talking. So this is one map right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a second map right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a third map right here. This is the fourth map right here. And look, that's the fourth. So all those orange dots, those are all of the homes your teams processed.
Yes, sir.
So out of all of those homes, your teams encountered 20 homes that were defined as politically hostile.
Mm-hmm.
Did the teams under you, did they note specifically the addresses of each one of those homes?
No, they do not. Again, we do not do PII. So when you drop a dot, it just shows logistical coordinates, and then you just put the details there. But it doesn't show the street.
So I'm curious, why not? So for instance, if I'm a worker and I encountered this, I need to be able to say it was 2550 and not 2552.
FEMA does not do that. They do not allow you to disclose personal information.
Okay, so the problem now is, how then are you able to track the homes that were politically hostile?
So again, we do it based off of a report. So, for example, there were two gentlemen on my team. They had an uncomfortable encounter. For example, they were told drain the swamp and some other kind of crazy statements. So I know that house was on this street, a specific street, and I know what color it was. And then if I have another team member tell me on that same street that they had another incident, it's like, okay, this is starting to become a trend. We probably need to pull out because nobody needs to work in a hostile work environment.
Okay. So again, I'm just trying to understand. So let me pull up here. So if I zoom in on this map right here, and let's say, okay, so I'm looking at one of these streets. So let's say there are 30 homes on that street. Mm-hmm. And let's say one of your field workers encounters hostility from 3 homes on that street. Mm-hmm. Do they continue to canvass each home on that street, or do?
That's when I make an executive decision and I send a report over to my TFL.
I'm sorry. What's a TFL?
Task force lead.
Okay.
And I'll let you know that we've had now several, because 3 is several from me, poor encounters on this street that have made the team uncomfortable. And I will let him know we need to move on from here. But the important thing is here, once we start seeing a trend, for example, if they just so happen to have these Trump campaign signs in front of their home, and that's the characteristic that's coming along with that, we have to proceed with precaution. So avoidance first and then de-escalation. And that's the thing. Our superiors know that. We have constant conversations about keep your people safe. If your people are uncomfortable, then just don't go.
So explain this to me, please. Explain this to me. Okay. So I'm just trying to understand what that means. So again, if I'm on a street and it has 20 homes, mm-hmm. and there are 8 homes on that street with Trump signs, mm-hmm. and my team has faced hostility from 3 of the homes that have signs, mm-hmm. what happens next?
I inform my TFL, my direct report, hey, we're again experiencing hostile encounters. We're moving on to another street. We're not canvassing those homes.
So again, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And that's the directive too. Like, honestly, he has called me multiple times and says, your job is to keep the team safe.
I'm sorry. When you say he, who's he?
Oh, Chad Hershey.
Okay. Who's Chad Hershey?
The TFL my assigned TFL for this deployment.
So Chad Hershey has told you what?
That if your team is uncomfortable and they do not feel safe, do not go to those homes. Go and canvass the other homes. Your job is to keep these people safe. They need to be able to go back home safe. Okay,
so now I have to ask this because, again, I use the example, 20 mm-hmm. homes, 20 homes on the street, mm-hmm. 8 of the homes have Trump signs, and they face hostility from 3 of those homes, which means there are 17 homes left.
Right.
So
we will canvass the ones that do not have the community trend with the Trump campaigns signage and let it go. If any of those residents come outside that have the Trump campaign signage and they say, hey, I want to register, we'll welcome them arms. We will let you register. Great, wonderful. But we will not subject our people to continuous verbal abuse or hostile encounters.
So
that's not what we do.
That's what I need to know. So, but again, though, this is what I'm trying to understand here. If there are 20 homes on the street, mm-hmm. 8 have Trump signs, and you encounter hostility from 3, how do you then, and if you say, I'm moving on from this street, what happens to the other 17 homes on that street?
So the ones that do not have the trend, you got to watch what you're saying, because you're saying the ones without the Trump campaign signage. If those are the ones that we have experienced the consistent hostility from, then those are the ones that we're going to avoid. Our equity in DSA is canvassing and registering, so we're going to take care of those other homes on the street. But we're going to avoid the ones that meet the community trend of political hostility, and they just so happen to have campaign signages in their front yard.
So I'm going to go back to something, because you said you first started in 2019, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for all of these, it's always these people who run their miles in our chat here. Trump was there in 2019. Did this, what you're describing, did this happen in 2009 or 2020 when we had federal disasters?
I can't speak for that because I wasn't deployed on those disasters. You would have to ask those people. But what I am here to do is to tell you that homes are skipped. The American people need to know that. If we are approached with hostility or our people feel uncomfortable, we do disengage.
And when you say with hostility, that's from anybody, whether there's a Trump. Well, I'll ask you this way: Have you ever noted any hostility from people who had Biden, Harris wall signs, or did you report any hostility for people who had no signs in their yards?
There you go. Yes, that is the whole point.
On both counts?
Yes, on both accounts.
So,
yes.
so let me just be clear. So you're saying that there have been times when your teams went out and someone may have had a Biden-Harris or a Harris wall sign in their yard. Your team felt uncomfortable and faced hostility, and they reported it back to you, and y'all said, skip that home.
There have been, yes, not on this specific deployment, but yes, there is record of that in the past. What you have to understand is everybody is not happy with FEMA, because if their applications are not approved or something didn't go the way they expected it to go, sometimes when we come back around for another disaster, they don't want to see us, and they passionately let us know.
So let me go back to what I just said. So there are examples as well.
Yes,
of individuals where there were no Trump signs, there were no Harris Biden signs, there are no signs at all, and your teams face hostility, and y'all made the exact same decision to move on.
Yes, sir.
So when you look at how Republicans and MAGA is trying to play this as, she skipped the Trump folk, how do you respond to that?
I respond to it in the same fashion that I'm going to respond to you now. If you greet any of our team members with hostility or aggression, we will de-escalate and disengage and move on. We cannot take that risk to deal with that type of behavior. It's just not ethical for a work environment, for anybody.
And again, you're saying here that those reports were turned in. You're saying that your supervisors or your team leads, they are aware of this. You're saying that they are aware that this is not politically driven. It is driven based upon the hostility shown towards FEMA workers in the field.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like, now again, FEMA has not released these reports. They've apologized and they're going to fix these issues. Would you like for the House Oversight Committee, Congressional Black Caucus, and others to actually call you and say, if y'all want the truth, call me to a hearing and let's put it all out there so folks can understand, because clearly FEMA has fired you. Your other job has fired you. That's cost you significant amounts of money. You're unemployed. And so you're being made out to be this evil anti-MAGA person.
Yes, I take all help and assistance right now. And I also have FEMA employees that have called me and said they will come forward and they will tell their stories and they will share with you all their truths about what it is we experience in the field every day.
You talked about what you are going through. Do you have a family?
I do. And I have people calling me saying that they're going to rape me and that they're going to give me a proper nigger lynching. I have people calling me, telling me that I am a horrible person, saying ungodly things to me.
And all of this started because once this story, when the Daily Wire was published.
Because FEMA allowed the search team to leak confidential information to the newspaper that went national, and there is no protection for me. FEMA sent me an email with 10 sheets of paper and said, this is how you are supposed to protect yourself. There are people in my family and in various residents that we own where they are receiving pizzas so they can try to pinpoint where I actually live or try to locate where I am.
This was one of the emails that was sent to you here, and this person said, who the hell do you think you are to do what you did? You MFDEI hire, how dare you tell your employees to not assist hurricane damaged homes if they had a Trump sign in front? You stupid bitch, racist. Tough crap now, you miserable jackass. Trump won by huge numbers, and there's not a damn thing that you and your sick Democrat friends and colleagues can do about it. Your whole crowd is done. Only a stupid lefty company would hire a pathetic loser like you, dumbass. And you said you've got more emails like this since this story went public?
Mm-hmm. Yes, people are quite cruel.
You said that FEMA employees have reached out to you.
Yes, sir.
And these are folks who, your field workers and others who are aware of this type of hostility.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Anybody that's worked with me knows my ethics. They know I do my job well. They understand the integrity that I work with, and everybody knows this is not me. And they are saying that they have no problem coming forward and speaking and telling the truth on FEMA.
So folks like Congressman Jim Jordan and other Republicans, they love, with the House Oversight Committee, they love to investigate folks. And so I'm sure they may try to throw out, oh, let's investigate FEMA now. You're saying, oh, I welcome these Republicans holding a congressional hearing so you can come present your information.
Please do. They will find this is not isolated. Again, I state this over and over again. This is colossal. This is not just isolated to Florida. Check out what's going on in the Carolinas. There's so many news articles where we have been people coming after FEMA employees with guns, targeting us to kill us, not realizing that we're just fellow Americans like they are, and we want to go back home to our families too. Their issue is with FEMA's infrastructure and how they implement duty. It does need to be revamped. It does need restructuring. And it's going to have to start with the truth. No matter who is in that office, there is a problem with FEMA.
I don't know who your member of Congress is, but will you reach out to your congressman or congresswoman and say, I am a constituent, this is how I've been treated. I want you to lead an investigation and call me.
I will do that.
You talked about the threats that you've received. Have you had to leave your home for your safety?
Oh, yes. I'm in a secure location.
So as a result of these threats, you no longer living in your home.
Correct.
Your family is impacted. You've been fired from your civilian job, and you're simply out here just dealing with this day by day.
Correct.
Anything else, Marn'i, like that?
I do implore you guys to talk to the DSA crew leads. I do implore you guys to talk to...
One second. When you said the DSA crew leads?
Mm-hmm.
What is DSA?
Disaster Survivor Assistant, crew leads, and specialists. They will tell you the truth. And I do implore you all to ask FEMA, why is it permissible for their partnering company to go and breach confidentiality and to leak documents to the public? Why is that relationship so important that they have not gone after them and held them accountable for their egregious actions?
Do you regret working with FEMA?
No, I enjoy the work that I've done for FEMA and for this country, but I do regret for believing in a system that did not care about me the way I cared about them. Clearly, the way they've mishandled me, the way they have exploited me, the way they have mistreated me, clearly shows that the relationship was one-sided. And a lot of us feel that way.
Regarding your civilian company, Avanath if that's how it's pronounced, firing you, are you considering suing them for wrongful termination?
I'm open to explore all options at this point because I don't even know where to start. So if there is someone that can help me, this is my cry to help. This is my call to help. If there's someone that can help me legally throughout this process, please contact me. Let me know what are my real rights in this situation. Where do I go from here?
All right. Marn'i Washington, I appreciate you reaching out to us, joining us to share your side of the story. And we certainly will be reaching out to FEMA to get some answers to the troubling issues that you certainly have raised.
Thank you so much for a voice and an opportunity to speak.
I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Be safe. Thank you very much. Folks, going to a break. We'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shootings.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hey, this is Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. That boy, he always unfiltered though. I ain't never known him to be filtered. Is there another way to experience Roland Martin than to be unfiltered? Of course he's unfiltered. Would you expect anything less? Watch what happens next.
I want to bring in my pound, Dr. Julian Malveaux, economist, president emerit, Bennett College, also an author out of D.C., Dr. Amakongo Dibinga, senior professorial lecturer, School of International Service, American University out of D.C., Renita Shannon, former Georgia State representative out of Atlanta. Glad to have all three of you here. Renita, I'll start with you. Here's a woman, Marn'i, saying, oh, please launch an investigation. Oh, please, bring it all out. So she's not trying to run from this.
Absolutely. And the reason that she's not trying to run from it is because she knows that these are the policies of FEMA. And when you think about it, it's kind of common sense. What she's saying is that if they get too much hostility on the street, they will leave because the FEMA employees do not have any sort of security support as they go out and canvass. And that is something that we have not only seen with FEMA, but I remember a couple months ago, you did a story with FedEx where they were saying if they were having hostility in certain neighborhoods, drivers were fearing for their lives, and they were saying they were not going to deliver packages to whole neighborhoods. They were on the verge of doing that. The thing that's really crazy here is that I believe her story. And the reason why I believe it is because we know that over the last several decades, Republicans have been telling their base that they should not trust the federal government. Everything that comes from the federal government is bad. So not only, as she mentioned, do you have people who have had not the best experience with FEMA in the past, but you also have ongoing political rhetoric to demonize any sort of federal agency. I think that they're using her as a scapegoat for this. And I think that this is really going to be a smoking gun when you see that after this, I'll guarantee you FEMA doesn't change their policy. They still will have that same sort of, whether it's on paper or not, it will be a common policy that the workers will know that if they get too much hostility on a street, they will just skip that entire street. And that's going to be really bad for FEMA because when you have these disasters, a lot of times telephone lines go down, power goes down. So that canvassing is the only way that they can sometimes get to folks who need help. But at the same time, you can't expect these FEMA people to risk their lives trying to get folks help.
See, this is the thing that people can't ignore, Omakongo. We saw it in South Carolina and North Carolina. FEMA workers were facing serious threats. There were people who were faced threats with guns. They were being yelled at, cussed at, all that sort of stuff. Folk telling them, get the hell away. MAGA folk can't act like that didn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the fact that they're all crying foul now, when you read that email that was sent to her, how could you do this? And Ron DeSantis calls this an outrage and it's preposterous that these types of things could happen. The track record is there. I'm terrified for her. And I hope that as we continue to stay in touch with her, there's some type of GoFundMe or something like that. The scary part of this, Roland Martin, is that there's going to be more of this. And this is what's going to happen when local communities, local government, and local agencies, national agencies, state agencies that have any type of MAGA leaning, all they have to do is do something very simple like this. And even if Marn'i goes through the whole legal process, even if she's vindicated, even if she files a lawsuit and wins millions, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars or whatever, her life is destroyed right now. And the average person, all it takes is something like this. And this is something that we're all going to have to buckle up for because they are vindictive people and they don't want to take accountability for anything. Like she said, they're out there with no protections. I was shocked with you as well, Roland, when you were talking about that whole thing with the purple paint, like cross this line and you'll be shot. Like that's just a thing that people can do with no type of repercussions whatsoever. She followed her job to a T. This is kind of giving me vibes of Ruby Moss and Shay Freeman, right? In terms of what happened with them. They did their job, and now they're being penalized, and she needs every person support possible. She needs national coverage. As usual, Roland Martin, you're first on the job with this stuff, but more people need to see this because we need to rally around her.
The thing here, and you heard me ask her the question, Julian, have y'all faced this kind of hostility from folks with Biden Harris signs? She said yes. Have you faced this from people with no signs? She said yes. So this notion, from her perspective, that it's only Trump supporters is wrong.
Well, I think that people who have experienced a FEMA tragedy, a hurricane, earthquake, whatever, are highly emotional and they have to be responsible for their behavior, but they are highly emotional. I can go back to San Francisco, 1989, when we had the earthquake, and real economic differentials were shown. In the avenues where the white people lived, there were a whole lot of services. In the hood, not so much. And some of my brothers and sisters were not so kind because they were angry. You heard on the news about, as an example, they sending psychologists over to the avenues to help people deal with it. Meanwhile, other people, not so much. I think that people are highly emotional. I don't think it is political. I think it's highly emotional. I think that FEMA is extraordinarily understaffed. Not only understaffed, but also under attack by these. Okay, I edited myself there. I do that sometimes. But those idiots in Congress who you want an investigation, well, investigate then, but investigate what you're doing wrong. Why not put more resources? We're going to have natural disasters. We have them every year. We have them several times a year. We have hurricanes, we have earthquakes, tornadoes, all of that. So properly fund that stuff. I mean, my former sister-in-law used to work for FEMA, and she would just come home crying about some of the verbal abuse she got when she answered the telephone. People are called, people try to help them, but people are angry. One of the things we have to get to the bottom of, Roland, is the anger that is simmering in our society. We cringe at MAGA anger because they crazy. We just, bat, spit, crazy. We already know that. But, there's a lot of anger on the other side, too. And so we really have to talk about ways that we unpack the anger to make it possible for people to live harmoniously, not only to live harmoniously, but for government to do its GD job. Because FEMA is supposed to help people. And when it doesn't, I mean, I have colleagues who still haven't gotten help from Katrina, okay? Still haven't gotten help from Katrina, still in some kind of paperwork cycle. So, no, people are angry. And unfortunately, sister girl, Marn'i has had to deal with some of that. And my heart breaks for her because you can see the pain in her eyes. But the fact is that FEMA is a broken agency that needs to be fixed, and not fixed the way the incoming president would, but fixed a way to have more humanity on the table.
The thing here, Radita, is that she made the point that there are people who were pissed off with previous natural disasters, whether it's New Orleans, whether it's Texas, whether it's Florida, other places, and they face this hostility. This is where FEMA should have the courage to come forward and say, yes, here it is. Show the documentation. I dare these MAGA Republicans to hold the congressional investigation and put it out there. But you know what? A lot of them really don't want to own up to their side and the hatred that they have unleashed against regular, ordinary folk who are trying to help them in a time of need.
Absolutely. And that's why I brought up the point earlier about the fact that no matter what happens with Marn'i, you will see that in the future, it's going to be the same policy for FEMA. And I do believe Marn'i when she says that this was not political, her making that decision to just keep her workers safe and to skip neighborhoods that can show a trend where if they have certain signage, in this case, it happens to be Trump signage, those are homes that have been riskier. I bet it's the same thing. I bet they tell these FEMA workers the same thing about large dogs that are running loose. They probably tell them, if you see a house with large dogs running loose, use your best judgment. Do you think you should approach that house? So the point here is that it's not political, but I also think that it is undeniable that some of these folks are not all people who have just had bad experiences with FEMA in the past. Some of these folks have been fed what I just talked about for several decades. They've been fed this whole thing about everything from the federal government is bad. And that's why one of the things that Trump talked a lot about in his campaign was dismantling federal agencies. So, I would wonder if anybody could come up with a better solution than what FEMA is already doing. Like I said, FEMA is a unique agency because they help folks when there have been natural disasters. A lot of times power lines go down, telephone lines go down. So it's not as simple as, hey, call FEMA if you need us. Sometimes people can't make a call. So this is the best that can be done, canvassing. But again, you can't ask people to risk their lives trying to do a job. Nobody's going to do that.
Well, and you have on Congo these folks who have this absolute hatred of the federal government, but who the hell is going to help them? See, that's the other thing. When you're in a time of need, that's not the time you should be yelling and cussing folk out. And so if I'm a FEMA worker, I'm like, you know what? Thank you very much. Hell yeah, I'm moving along. And I'll be like, yo, call Ron DeSantis' ass to help you out since you don't want the help. Because guess what? The governor, all these governors, the first thing they do, can the president declare, an emergency declaration? Can we get FEMA in? All these folks who vote against funding for FEMA and natural disasters, they turn right around and want it. When Chris Christie was the governor of New Jersey, and when he was like, matter of fact, even I remember Congressman Peter King of New York was ripping folk like Ted Cruz and others who voted against disaster relief when New Jersey and New York got hit. But when Florida and Texas got hit, they were trying to get that federal money. He was like, now Rand Paul as well. And so this shows the hypocrisy of these people.
It's extreme hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy from the state leadership. It's hypocrisy on the local levels. Like, these guys have been so indoctrinated to believe that the government's not supposed to be engaged in any of their business in any way, shape, or form, and they'll take it from whether they're talking about women's health or now to issues relating to disaster relief. They say it until they need it, right? And when you get into these situations, rather than say, I messed up, I was ignorant, I was hostile, and that's why I didn't get the service. It's this woman's fault. It's the government's fault. They did this. They denied me. What is someone supposed to do when you got a shotgun and you roll up to their house to try to give them service? And that's kind of like the disconnect that we see with some of these guys. They have so much arrogance, so much ignorance, so much vitriol for everybody else, but they don't realize that in this society, we need everybody else, and we need government services as well. And the fact that she has to suffer because of their ignorance, because of their vitriol, as we saw in North Carolina and other places, because of the way that they threaten people just doing their jobs to help them, that's the hypocrisy that just it enrages me on so many particular levels. And none of these guys are going to come forward. None of these guys are going to take responsibility. And like you said, Roland, I hope these investigations take place. And she needs to get paid for what's happening to her. But again, we are going to see more of this because these guys talk a good game, but they ain't building up their own wealth. They ain't building up their own ability to be able to leave their neighborhoods, to be able to escape these things that are happening. So they're going to need government assistance again. And when they feel like they can be ignorant and violent and get played like this, they're going to be more Marni's unless we keep an eye on these particular situations.
Check this out, Julian. MAGA didn't say a word about this here. Go to my iPad, Henry. Former DHS official. Trump wanted to withhold California wildfire money for political reasons. This was an ad put out by Miles Taylor, former chief of staff for the Secretary of Homeland Security, who talked about when they had the wildfires in California, they had to actually explain to Donald Trump. It says right here in the ad, Taylor alleges, and y'all find the ad, Taylor alleges that Trump asked for funding to be pulled from FEMA during catastrophic wildfires that caused millions of dollars in damage in California because the state was not part of his political base. He told us to stop giving money to people whose houses had been burned down because he was so rageful that people in the state of California didn't support him. In fact, Trump tweeted in January 2019 that California should stop receiving FEMA money until, quote, they get their act together on proper forest management. He blasted Gavin Newsom, and it wasn't until his staffers showed him that the people affected voted for him, Orange County, California, that he then said, okay, he relented. Oh, MAGA real quiet about that.
MAGA go be real quiet about a lot of stuff, Roland. The fact of the matter is these people reek in hypocrisy. This man has been empowered now to do this kind of thing, to basically F with people in the name of the federal government. We saw it. We've seen it time and time again, and we'll continue to see it. We have to begin to build the resistance. But, California, of course, he has a thing about California because I say we because I'm a native San Franciscan, we are reliably Democratic. But that doesn't mean we don't need assistance when a national emergency happens. So you have to flip it and look at what President Obama did with New Jersey. He could have been a Trump, but he wouldn't be. It doesn't have it in his DNA. But he was very gracious with Christie, walked the beach, learned about what the damage was, and got help there. Mr. Trump does not have that kind of grace. In fact, everything that I've been reading and hearing these past, week or so since the election speaks to the fact that he is thirsty for revenge. That he's making a list and checking it twice, and he's going to get this one and he's going to get that one. I even had a call from a colleague who said, you need to pipe down. And I said, I haven't said anything. She said, they're going to start going after journalists. I said, okay. But basically a lot of people are looking at what the reverberations of this man's unchecked authority are. And I think with something like a FEMA, I could be a Republican living next door to a Democrat. My house burns down. You're going to deny me fire service because it was the Democrat, because you want to help the Democrat? We have to get past this, Roland. It's extreme, and it's why so many people are walking around, going in circles, being upset, because there's just really a lot going on. And this man exacerbates the worst in everybody.
Well, first of all, Renita, there's no we. This man and his followers are vindictive. They are the ones who will penalize people. They are the ones who have no morals, no values, no integrity, no credibility, and no ethics and no character. This is how they actually behave.
Right. And, to bring it back to the original story, this was not a case of Marn'i just waking up and deciding today before work, hey, I'm just going to tell my workers to skip everybody who has a Trump sign. She explained to the audience and she explained to everybody what the process was. If they get a street that has lots of hostility on it, for whatever the reason is, it just so happens at this time, it's people who happen to have something that is in common that they keep occurring, the hostility over and over. And that was that there was a Trump sign in their yard, then they skip that street. I mean, it is not as if the other people on that row cannot make a call to have FEMA come. And I'm sure that FEMA would come. So the thing is that these workers have to have a way to best keep themselves safe. That's a policy of FEMA. That's a policy for a lot of government agencies. FEMA is not the only one. It just so happens, as you all have been saying, and the other panelists have been saying, this is just a really tough situation when you're dealing with folks who have been in a natural disaster. Yes, you are, upset that everything things have been catastrophic for you. Yes, you've endured a lot by going through the natural disaster, but you still have to have your wits about you to, not abuse folks who are trying to help you. And that's really what it boils down to.
This is the ad Republicans Against Trump put out regarding the former DHS Chief of Staff, Miles Taylor. Watch this.
I'm Miles Taylor. I served as the Chief of Staff of the Department of Homeland Security under the Donald Trump administration. I would go into the office, I would read my intelligence brief, and then it was my job to help the Department of Homeland Security to keep our country safe. What we saw week in and week out, and for me, after 2.5 years in that administration, was terrifying. We would go in to try to talk to him about a pressing national security issue, cyber attack, terrorism threat. He wasn't interested in those things. To him, they weren't priorities. The president wanted to exploit the Department of Homeland Security for his own political purposes and to fuel his own agenda. The California wildfires. On a phone call with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, he told FEMA to cut off the money and to no longer give individual assistance to California. He told us to stop giving money to people whose houses had burned down from a wildfire because he was so rageful that people in the state of California didn't support him and that politically it wasn't a base for him. The policies at the border, he wanted to restart zero tolerance and separate families. He said he wanted to go further and have a deliberate policy of ripping children away from their parents to show those parents that they shouldn't come to the border in the first place.
So I played the relevant part, that is that part about the California wildfires. And the reality is there were other people who corroborated what he said. But Republicans are very quiet about that. I keep telling y'all, it's going to be a whole lot. Let me tell you something right now. It's going to be a whole lot of hashtag we tried to tell you happen over the next 4 years. And I'm going to deal with that later in the show because America, you made this bed. Now y'all got to sleep in it. Our bed is clean. Folks, got to go to a break. We come back more on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, including, again, breaking down how lying, yes, how lying is very effective. Folks, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Of course, you can see your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And we have found a workaround with Cash App. Keenan, seen that graphic. And so, again, we're going to have that for you later in the show. Trust me, Cash App has been a headache since they changed their rules, not allowing businesses like ours to utilize Cash App. But there is a workaround that we have found, and we will have that for y'all later in the show. So just stay tuned. I'll be back in a moment.
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood-Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood Show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood Show and the Roland Martin Show? Well, whatever show it's going to be, it's going to be good.
You know what? I got nothing but love for people who just call it like they see it. In Scotland, ooh, they sure did. Patrick Harvey condemned SNP leader John Swinney for congratulating Donald Trump on his victory. Roll it.
Yesterday, the First Minister offered congratulations to the convicted felon Donald Trump on his re-election. Writing officially on behalf of the Scottish Government, he wrote that he is sure Scotland's cultural and social ties with the US will flourish during the presidency of a misogynist, a climate denier, a fraudster, a conspiracy monger, a racist, a far-right politician who tried to overturn an election result both covertly and by inciting violence. Words fail me. What social and cultural ties does the First Minister really think will benefit from a relationship with such a man? And more importantly, what has the First Minister done so far to reach out to the marginalised and vulnerable people whose lives are most directly threatened by a second Trump term?
First Minister.
Presiding Officer, I have a duty as First Minister of Scotland to engage with other governments and to represent the people of Scotland in that process. And as part of that duty, I wrote the letter in question that Mr Harvey cites. I think there are deep cultural, social and economic ties between Scotland and the United States of America. I think they're important. They're important for employment in our economy. They're important for the cultural expression of our country and for the way in which we are able to pursue those objectives. So, whilst there are very clearly, because of what I said before the presidential election, very big real differences in expression and in priority and in way of life between me and Donald Trump, I cannot deny the existence of links between Scotland and the United States, and regardless of the presidential choice in the United States, I want to maintain good relationships between Scotland and the United States. And what I would say to Mr Harvey, and I think he knows me well enough to know, that the concerns of people who feel marginalised in our society, who feel under threat, are questions and concerns that I wrestle with every single day as First Minister, because I stood here and I pledged to be the First Minister of all of Scotland, and that's entirely what I intend to do.
I ain't got no problem with what they did. In terms of Homeboy calling him out, that's what you should do. And Putin's Russia, they've made it perfectly clear via their state television network how they feel about Melania Trump and Donald Trump, and they just went right to the photos. Roll it. So here's a video here, y'all. So they were talking on Russian state television about those two, and they had no problem showing the pornographic photos of Melania on their broadcast. Renita, look at your mouth wide open. Come on, y'all missed that? Yeah, they sure did. So they're like, yeah, okay, all right. That's called, Donald, we letting you know how we roll.
Yes, I did miss
It's
that.
called ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing that. I did miss that. On the original story with the first prime minister, I mean, I think that the other elected official who called him out was really speaking authentically about how he felt about the statement. The first minister is trying to hide behind, oh, this is my official duty. We have to keep relationships good with the U.S. because that's one of our partners. But his statement went above and beyond just keeping things in a working relationship. And I think the other elected official called him out on it. So, you know, what I think is that for the first minister, what he should have done was, if this is how you really feel, stand 10 toes down on it. Don't try to hide behind your position. You know, just say it with your full chest.
Hello.
And see, everybody's sitting here, not wanting to say, in terms of how they're rolling. And look, I'm a con, go check this out. So, and again, Biden and Harris are trying to be nice and cordial, doing the right thing. But see, here's my whole deal. When you know who you dealing with, I'm sorry, I ain't got to play that game. So Orange Man is coming to D.C. on Wednesday to sit down with Biden. After all the trash he said about him, it's going to be this fake smiling and everything like that. And let's remind people, his punk ass didn't do that on Congo in 2020, okay? And so now you got Melania, she's like, yeah, I'm not coming. So she's snubbing First Lady Jill Biden, which is a traditional meeting that they actually do as well. This is who they are. And so remember, they skipped the inauguration. I'm telling you right now, Congo, I'm being straight. I wouldn't have no problem if the VP was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. If Barack and Michelle was like, yeah, we're going to be at an MLK event on that day. I ain't got a problem at any of them, because here's the whole deal. These people here, they have no class. They have no grace. They are sore losers. And I'm sorry, I ain't about to sit here and give you, I'm not going to give you the respect of the office of president since all you had was disrespect.
Absolutely. And somebody asked, Biden as he was walking away, do you still believe that Trump is a threat to democracy? And he didn't respond to it. And this is what Timothy Snyder talks about in his book on tyranny, this acquiescence in advance, just kind of just letting go of the power before people even get in. And look, the fact of the matter is, with the inauguration, like you said, the reason why Kamala and Trump met the first time at the debate was because he wasn't at the inauguration. And even right now, when you look at the fact that the Trump administration has not signed a memorandum of understanding for the transition, this is what happened during 9/11. That MOU wasn't signed. And so some of the intelligence that needed to be transferred over that affected us come 9/11, that's what happened. And so right now there's intelligence that his transition team is supposed to be receiving, but he didn't sign the MOU, so he doesn't care about that. He's already talking about going through the process of having reset appointments where he doesn't have to go through the Senate. He does not give a damn about this institution. And Biden going out, Biden needs to pardon his son, I'm just saying, on the way out, why are you going to try to get all nice like you feel like it's going to change Donald Trump? It's going to reveal something about him. Y'all thought that the first time around. If he was a threat to democracy, which is why you stayed in to run for a second term, even though you said you wouldn't, Biden, don't try to go on the way out and try to be all nice. The way that and you don't got to be like what we're doing. I'm just saying, it's like, yo, just say the truth. Look at Tom Homan, the people he's looking to bring in, the child policy, the separation policy, Stephen Miller, all of these guys that he wants to bring. This is what he wants to do to America again. So at the very least, just have a little bit of a spine, as you said. You can still acknowledge the election was won and it was fair and all of that other type of stuff, but it don't change the fact that this dude is a threat. Period. Just say it.
Julian, go ahead.
Yeah, see, if I was Brother Biden, I give him some peanut butter crackers and a bottle of water, as opposed to, nice cookies and whatever crumpets they do in the White House. And I will hardly have anything to say to him, or I wouldn't have the meeting at all. I mean, he's called Biden out of his name. He's disrespected our vice president in the basis of terms. And so, and we've got a brilliant, beautiful, classy VP, and he got, without being crass, a ho as a partner. Anyway, I'm with Omar Congo. I don't think that he has. I wish President Biden, and he's of a different generation, and he is genteel. That's the thing about it. He's a genteel man, but some of that gentility has not served him. And I mean, if it's you, me, you, Roland, or me, or a couple other people, we would say, "Yo, MF, get your funky hind parts up out of here." We shook hands, but I'm not genteel, and neither are you. But the bottom line here is, of course, there are protocols of office, protocols of the presidency, and the vice presidency. And Vice President Harris has been so gracious and so brilliant in the face of ignorance. How dare Melania attempt to disrespect Jill Biden? She ain't fit. I'm going to quote Carolyn Cheeks Kirkpatrick, used to be Congresswoman from Michigan. She said to someone, "You're not fit to carry my bra strap." And that's what Jill Biden could say to ho, because basically...
I'll never forget 2017. First of all, I didn't watch that trash inauguration. And let me just let y'all right now, we ain't running that bullshit here. So I'm just letting y'all know, I ain't wasting no energy. January 20th is MLK Day, and that's the only thing we'll be focusing on the Black Star Network on January 20th, and that's MLK Day. So just letting y'all know. But here's why. I mean, I'll never forget this video, and I had to find it. I want y'all to see Hillary Clinton, this deep breath she had to take when she and President Bill Clinton were about to walk out onto the Capitol steps to prepare to see that thug sworn in. Watch this. I mean, that was an example of a woman who envisioned her walking out to be sworn in as president, and you saw that deep breath. You saw that, and it was just like, I gotta walk out of here and watch this son of a bitch get sworn in. And if you see the video here, you see right there in terms of the smiles and he's shaking hands and whatever. But here's the thing here. Again, classless Donald Trump and Melania Trump didn't have the guts to do this. They didn't have, go and say it right now. I want y'all to say, they didn't have the guts to understand that the nation is bigger than their frail, sorry, trifling, trash-ass ego. And see, I don't forget. And you're going to see in a second when she and Bill Clinton walk out and you see, okay, let me perform as former First Lady. Let me smile. Let me be here. This is about the nation. This is about being bigger than us. This is about being bigger than our ego. And you see, in terms of how she looked, that thug, Renita, him and Melania, they didn't have the guts to do that. And if Melania had any character, any integrity, any credibility, any ethics or morals or values, she could have said, Donald, you ain't got to go. But I'm going to go because that's what first ladies do, even when you lose. So I don't give a damn about either one of them.
No, I appreciate people.
Nobody else does.
I don't even think that it's about guts. It's about authenticity. And I'm not speaking for what is not personal experience. My second year elected to the Georgia House of Representatives, Brian Kemp got elected governor. He ran a campaign of hate, talking about how he was going to round up immigrants in his truck. And he was campaigning with well-known white supremacists and basically bragging about his record of suppressing voter rights for Black folks. And so, you know what? I said on my Facebook, I didn't even think it would be picked up by the news, but it happened to be. I don't care because I was always authentic for my 6 years. I put on Facebook, it would be inauthentic for me to attend the first speech to legislators that the governor gives because this man ran a campaign of hate against my community and other communities of color. So no, I will not be attending that first speech. And after that, I invited other legislators to follow and do the same. And I ended up accidentally leading a legislator boycott of Brian Kemp in his first major speech to legislators. Why? Because that was authentic for me. For me to go and sit in a room with a man who had, ran a campaign of hate against people who look like me, which I knew was going to have real consequences in my community, that was just inauthentic for me. So I didn't go. I think the public appreciates authenticity, and I don't think that anybody should be giving elected officials a pass for, oh, well, you have to do that because that's the job. No, you don't. You're still a person before you're born a person. You're not born an elected official. And I think the public appreciates authenticity. I don't regret leading a legislator boycott against Brian Kemp. I didn't regret it then, and I don't regret it today.
I had somebody named Poppy on a message board said, Roland, you petty. Yes. And your point. Yes, I am. And I damn right will call it petty because these people are shameful. And I am not going to at all reward these people. And so I shall meet their nastiness with being petty. All right, folks, there's a group out of Europe who put together this video that lays out the timeline of apartheid Elon Musk. And what they did was, the group is called Led by Donkeys, and they broadcast this on the Tesla headquarters there in Amsterdam. And, all that stuff Musk was saying, they were all lies. Oh, I'm not going to get involved in politics, all that sort of stuff. The reality is he did. By buying Twitter, he had access to all of that data. And so you see all this stuff, people saying, oh, the election was stolen. They're talking about Starlink. And, Joe Rogan had a video saying that Elon put together an app saying he knew 4 hours before the election was called that Trump was going to win. And people are saying that's because of Starlink, things along those lines. Not sure all about that, but I need people to understand the danger. This is the danger of Elon Musk owning Twitter, called X, and having access to all of that data, and Trump being the White House, because he's going to be co-president. You've already seen where Trump has made calls to Putin, and Elon Musk was on the phone with him. Why is that? Roll this video.
This is the story of how the world's richest person, the owner of Tesla and X, bought the global town square, then corrupted it before using his immense wealth to help elect a convicted felon. April 14, 2022. Elon Musk makes an unsolicited offer to buy Twitter for $44 billion. He claims the site has become politically skewed and says, for Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral. October 27th, the deal goes through. The next evening, a far-right conspiracy theorist breaks into the San Francisco home of Democrat House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, intending to kidnap her. Pelosi is away, but the man attacks her husband Paul, hitting him repeatedly on the head with a hammer. Paul Pelosi escapes with his life, but requires surgery for a fractured skull. While most people take the chance to decry political violence, the new owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, posts a tweet sharing an entirely false claim that Paul Pelosi was in fact injured in a drunken fight with a male prostitute with whom he was involved. Musk includes a link to a false claim on a website that has a history of publishing conspiracy theories, including a story asserting that Hillary Clinton is dead and has been replaced by a body double. Musk's post is retweeted 24,000 times before he deletes it. November 18th, Musk's Twitter starts to unlock previously banned accounts. Misogynist far-right influencer Andrew Tate was permanently banned from Twitter in 2017 after urging women to, quote, bear some responsibility for rape. Now he's back. Tate posts, I've decided to fly to the failed state of California, walk into Twitter HQ, and tell @Elon Musk he's a legend. On my way. 2 months later, Tate will be arrested in Romania on suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group. December 8th. 3 members of Twitter's Trust and Safety Council resign. In their resignation letter, they cite research that found slurs against Black Americans and gay men jumped 195% and 58% respectively since Musk's takeover. 3 days later, the remaining members of Twitter's Trust and Safety Council are dismissed. Musk then tweets that, quote, "My pronouns are prosecute Fauci," a reference to a conspiracy theory that the COVID crisis was exacerbated by America's top infectious disease doctor. December 16th, having claimed he's a free speech absolutist, Musk bans @ElonJet, a Twitter account that tracks the movements of his private jet using publicly available data. Musk also bans the accounts of a number of journalists who have written about @ElonJet. February 12, 2023. Ahead of the Super Bowl, both Musk and President Joe Biden tweet their support for the Philadelphia Eagles. Biden's tweet is seen 29 million times, Musk's just 9 million times. Incensed, Musk leaves the game early and calls an impromptu meeting of Twitter engineers at 2:36 a.m. Their job? To change the Twitter algorithm to artificially inflate the reach of Musk's tweets by a factor of 1,000, making him the preeminent presence on the site. July 23rd, Musk announces Twitter is now called X. August 25th, Donald Trump, once banned, returns to the platform by posting a picture of his mugshot from Fulton County Jail with the words, "Election interference, never surrender." Musk reposts the shot. 4 days later, X reverses Twitter's long-standing ban on paid political advertising. November 15th, in a post promoting the racist conspiracy theory that Jewish people are importing immigrants to America to fix elections for Democrats, one X user writes, "Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them." Musk replies saying, "You have said the actual truth." In response, several advertisers, including Disney, Warner Brothers, and Comcast, pause their advertising on X. Musk then tells advertisers concerned by hate speech on the platform,
"Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself." Is that clear?
Over subsequent months, Musk will become obsessed with the false claim that Democrats are allowing immigrants into America to create more Democratic voters, in effect, stealing the coming election, sharing the claim numerous times with his followers and pushing it to tens of millions more who choose not to follow him. A year later, it will be revealed that Musk, a South African immigrant, worked illegally in the US in the 1990s. November 25th, on X, Musk boosts the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, a long-debunked claim alleging high-profile Democrats ran a pedophile abuse ring from a Washington pizza restaurant. March 25th, 2024. Musk loses a lawsuit against the Center for Countering Digital Hate. He'd sued them after they flagged a rise in hate speech after Musk bought Twitter. In his ruling, a U.S. district judge calls Musk's case vapid and says this case is about punishing the defendants for their speech. May 2024, Musk creates a political action committee which he calls America PAC. Its objective is to mobilize 1 million Republican voters in swing states in an effort to hand the election to Trump. Musk commits to putting tens of millions of dollars of his own money into the Get Out the Vote push and clears his calendar every Friday morning for 30 to 60 minutes to meet with the team he's assembled to run the effort. July 14th. Musk calls Trump on behalf of J.D. Vance, urging Trump to select Vance as his running mate. Vance says abortion is murder and insults women who haven't become mothers.
A bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made.
Musk's phone call is part of a broad effort by Silicon Valley billionaires to ensure Vance is selected. The next day, Vance is unveiled as Trump's vice presidential candidate. September 6th, Trump says that if he wins, he will appoint Musk to head up a government efficiency commission.
And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force.
The idea came from Musk, whose companies are currently facing at least 20 federal investigations. If he gets the role, it would give the world's richest man the power to regulate the regulators who hold sway over his companies. Last year alone, his companies were promised $3 billion across nearly 100 different contracts with 17 federal agencies. September 9th, Musk spreads a conspiracy theory that immigrants in Ohio are eating people's pets. The following day, Trump repeats the slur during the presidential debate with Kamala Harris.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
The false claim leads to multiple bomb threats against the Springfield immigrant community. September 15th and 16th. Over a single weekend, Musk amplifies a conspiracy theory that ABC leaked sample debate questions to the Harris campaign, falsely claims that the Dems want to take your kids, further fuels racist lies about immigrants eating pets, shares with his nearly 200 million followers on X that Trump must win to, quote, preserve freedom and meritocracy in America, and insinuates that it is suspicious that no one is even trying to assassinate Biden and Kamala, adding a thinking face emoji. The U.S. Secret Service confirms that it is aware of the post. The White House issues a statement saying violence should only be condemned, never encouraged or joked about. This rhetoric is irresponsible. October 4th, Musk posts, "Unless Trump wins and we get rid of the mountain of smothering regulations that have nothing to do with safety, humanity will never reach Mars. This is existential." Musk is the owner of SpaceX and stands to make billions from US government space contracts. October 5th, the user handle @America is taken from an ex-user and given by Musk to his America PAC. That evening, he joins the former president on stage in Pennsylvania, jumping about wildly.
Fight, fight, fight. Vote, vote, vote.
By now, he's moved with his senior team to a war room in a hotel in Pennsylvania to focus full-time on the Trump campaign. He speaks to Trump multiple times a week, is doing a series of pro-Trump town halls across the state, and has recruited lieutenants from his companies to join him. October 15th, legal filings from Musk's Political Action Committee show he has personally donated at least $75 million to the effort to re-elect Trump. October 18th, it's revealed that another Musk-funded group called Future Coalition PAC is targeting Muslim voters in Michigan and Jewish voters in Pennsylvania with diametrically opposed political advertisements about Kamala Harris. In areas with large Muslim populations, the group is painting Harris as a close friend of Israel and is suggesting that she's beholden to the beliefs of her Jewish husband. But in areas with large Jewish populations, the ads say Harris panders to Palestine. Simultaneously, Musk is offering $100 to any Pennsylvania voter who signs his online petition as part of an effort to build a list of likely Trump voters. He also starts giving away $1 million a day to a randomly chosen voter who signed the petition. October 19th, it's revealed that the Building America's Future PAC, another Musk-funded campaign group, is impersonating the Harris campaign by setting up a fake website containing fake policy positions, then sending out text messages driving voters to the fake site. October 24th, it's revealed that Musk gave his America PAC a further $44 million in the first 16 days of October. October 25th, the Wall Street Journal reports that Musk has been in regular contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin since 2022. October 27th, Musk speaks at the now infamous Trump rally at Madison Square Garden, a gathering characterized by racism, misogyny, and threats of violence.
USA! USA!
Musk has posted more than 3,000 times on X in the last month, including dozens of unfounded claims about the election which have been viewed hundreds of millions of times. Apart from Trump himself, Musk is now the single biggest spreader of election disinformation. November 5th, Trump wins the presidential election. Elon Musk, a far-right conspiracy theorist, has succeeded in using his immense wealth to help swing the election in favor of a convicted felon.
See, folks, it's important for us to understand what is happening right now in this country. And where you have these oligarchs like Elon Musk who are trying to do in America exactly what the oligarchs did in Russia. But see, what the oligarchs in Russia didn't understand was that Putin was going to take them over. And he actually did that. He did take them over. And so they are now beholden to him. So what you're going to find is, you're going to find Donald Trump, who is going to do whatever these oligarchs want. Elon Musk, David Sachs, Bill Ackman, and these other massive billionaires who can do whatever they want. See, the reason why controlling the information is so important is because you have access to the data. Understand what I just said? You have access to the data. And we talk about the data. It's important to understand the information flow. And so what we're seeing in this country is how people are getting their information. And this is why we've been pushing investment in downloading the app Fanbase. Because see, you take Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook. We know for a fact, I mean, it's without a doubt, that Facebook has been suppressing content. They've been suppressing black content. I mean, we know that for a fact. Well, we know the actions that they have taken. We know based upon the views that we get or that we used to get on the platform. See, we know that. I mean, we can look at the data and see that. We can look at the data and see how they are using the information. And so what happens is You take the folks at Facebook, so they control the algorithm. Well, same thing, Twitter, control the algorithm. How many of y'all saw all of that right-wing stuff in your Twitter feeds the last month and a half? People who you would never follow. Like, you would never follow these people at all. All of a sudden, they're just showing up in your Twitter feeds. That was happening. And just so y'all understand what's going on here, when we talk about the feeds, we talk about right now on Facebook. Here's a perfect example. Let's see here. Do we have? I just want to show y'all. If y'all want to understand the reality of how they determine how you get information, go to my iPad. This right now is our Facebook feed. There are 105 people watching us live on Facebook. 105. Y'all realize we have 1.3 million followers on Facebook? We know for a fact they suppress information. So that's why we've been talking about why you invest in, why you support fan base. And so that, of course, is Black-owned app, Black-owned platform, Isaac Hayes. But the app is not just for African Americans. The app can actually be for anybody. And so, one, I want you to download the app fan base. You can also invest. They're right now in the middle of a $17 million raise. And, you know, I've encouraged Isaac Hayes III to launch a Twitter type of piece on the app, because you got audio rooms, you got video rooms, you got all those things right now. And I've been encouraging that because the reality is we need to leave Twitter. It is a cesspool of right-wing literature. And it's only going to continue. Now that Trump is in the Oval Office, you can expect, I'm telling y'all right now, you can expect it to become a more hateful, nasty place. So we as African Americans don't need to continue to give them more of our business, our time, our attention. We love talking about Black Twitter and what Black Twitter, what Black Twitter means and all kind of stuff like that. Well, we don't need to give them that. We don't need to continue to give them more of our stuff. We simply don't need to. And so we say enough is enough. So again, I want us to support fan base. I want us to download. I want us to download fan base. I want us to stand with fan base. I want us to support it. I want us to invest in it, because it's also important for us to have equity in these apps. See, Black folks, we are making other folk enormously rich because they're making crazy amounts of money off of us. And so it's about time that we actually begin to own things ourselves. So you can go to startengine.com and type in fan base. You can access the information, but you can download the app right now. But those are the things that we need to be doing right now in terms of supporting what is Black owned. Because I need us to understand when I say the lies are being rewarded. These platforms, the role that they are playing, they have a crucial role in this election. And if you look at the data based upon the folks who voted, this is very interesting. It said that Biden supporters are more likely to get their news by newspapers than Trump supporters. So you see right here, Biden supporters, newspapers 70 to 21%, national news, Biden 55-35, digital websites 49-39. Cable news, this likely because of Fox News, 53-45, but social media 45-26. YouTube, Google 55-39. Y'all, this matters because This is how lies are being spread. Lies are being spread left and right on these platforms. Now, understand, folk need to realize what's also going to happen. Here's a perfect example. Democrats fared better with the richest Americans than the poorest for the first time in decades. I'm going to tell you right now, the poorest Americans, it's going to be a whole lot of we tried to tell you when y'all wake up and realize when the Republicans start slashing a lot of your benefits. I'm just letting y'all know it's coming. Just letting you know it's coming. But then also, again, we talk about data and information. Check this out. Misinformed views on immigration, crime, the economy correlated with ballot choice. It says right here, again, the people who answered correct on the information regarding violent crime, D plus 65. The people who answered false, not correct, Republicans plus 26. Inflation, correct, D plus 53. Republicans answer false, Republicans plus 19. Stock market is at or near all-time highs. Correct information, correct views, Democrats plus 20, Republicans plus 9. Over the last few months, unauthorized border crossings of the U.S.-Mexico border are at or near the lowest levels in the last few years. People who know the facts, D plus 59. Republicans plus 17. What does that tell you? It tells you that Republicans are benefiting from lies. They're benefiting. They're benefiting from lies. This election also tells us that character no longer matters. They didn't care if he overthrew the election. They didn't care if he cheated companies. They didn't care if he cheated small businesses. They didn't care if he lied on his taxes. They didn't care if he lied about the cost of the value of his businesses. In fact, Trump told 30,000 lies last time he was in Oval Office. They were like, yeah, we good. Yeah, we good. We good with the lies. Ain't no problem. We're good with it. What does that tell you? It tells you is that we're dealing with people who no longer care about integrity. So it no longer matters. This country, I damn sure didn't, but this country has decided to reward a massive liar. They've decided to reward somebody with the highest office in the land who cannot tell the truth. And if you want to understand just how sick and demented some of these people are, this was a media story done where they interviewed this guy, Matt Wolfson, in Scranton, Pennsylvania, a 45-year-old former construction worker. He looked around at poverty in the Rust Belt city and thought the nation needed a change in leadership. Now, mind you, Joe Biden from Scranton. Look, I just want y'all to understand what we're dealing with. Wolfson said he didn't love the dictatorial aspect of Trump's personality, but thought it could keep the country out of wars and maybe bring peace to some other conflicts, including Ukraine. I want y'all, this is a real quote. He's good and bad. People say he's a dictator. I believe that. I consider him like Hitler, Wolfson said, but I voted for the man. Y'all, there is no amount of policy, plans, prescriptions, specifics from Vice President Kamala Harris or Minnesota Governor Tim Walz or any Democrat that can counter that. These folks voted for the devil. See, in fact, since y'all gonna make me go here, see, I'm gonna have to. See, we're not set for a position over there, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and stay right here because I need to actually stand up on this. I need to stand up on this here. So some of y'all, if y'all really want to understand what we're dealing with, let me just go ahead and go biblical on some folk here. Go ahead, zoom, I stand up on this one. So let me just explain to y'all what just happened. Let me explain to y'all in biblical terms what just happened. Go ahead and zoom the camera out. What just happened in this election in biblical terms is that the United States did the exact same thing as the children of Israel did if you actually read your Bible. Y'all go ahead and go to my iPad, okay? So if y'all at home, understand 1 Samuel 8. 1 Samuel 8, Israel, they decided that, you know what? We need a king. And so it says, they said, give us a king to lead us. Samuel wasn't happy. Samuel prayed to the Lord. The Lord told him, listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you they have rejected, but they rejected me as their king, as they have done from the day I brought them out of Egypt until this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they are doing to you. Y'all follow what I'm saying? Now listen to them, but warn them solemnly and let them know what the king who will reign over them will claim as his rights. So Samuel went to them and said, all right, y'all want a king. Okay, this is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses, and they will run in front of his chariots. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands, commanders of 50s, and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and other olive groves and give them to his attendants. He will take a tenth of your grain and of your vintage and give it to his officials and attendants. Your male and female servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take for his own use. He will take a tenth of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you in that day. But the people ignored Samuel. They said, no, we still want a king. Then we will be like all the other nations with a king to lead us and to go out before us and fight our battles. When Samuel heard all of the people said, he repeated it before the Lord. The Lord answered, listen to them and give them a king. Then Samuel said to the Israelites, everyone go back to your own town. Now, anybody who knows that scripture knows the king was Saul. And we know Saul was evil as hell because he was crazy. So you see, so America said, oh, no. I know Biden has, I know y'all dug us out of that horrible economy. I know you rebuilt the infrastructure in this country. I know we provided the American Rescue Plan. I know we actually, you were the most pro-union, pro-working class presidency since FDR. We know all of those things. But you know what? We want a king. We want a king. We want to go back to the glory days of Pharaoh. Because it was great in 17 and 18 and 19. We're going to skip over 20, 21, all the after effects. We're going to skip all that. But it was just so great and it was just so wonderful when we had us a king. Oh, I know the man said in his own mouth that I'm going to be a dictator. I know the man actually said what I'm going to do. I know the man said, oh, to the rich folk, hey, y'all did great under me. Y'all going to do greater under me. I know he said all of that. But the poor folks said, oh yeah, but let's go ahead and put the king in because he was a master at the economy. Oh, I know he filed bankruptcy 6 times. I know he lied a whole lot when he was there. I know he actually ran the nation's debt up, added 25% to the nation's debt, but he's a genius. We're going to do so much better because the last few years we have not done well. Of course, we didn't want to own up to what he did, the deal that he cut with the Saudi Arabia that caused gas prices to go up in 2022, also caused inflation to go up in that particular year. I know he did all these things, but I just think we're going to do just so much better than him than we did. Now forget the fact that unemployment today, even before the election, was actually lower than it was in December 2019. Oh, forget the fact that all of these companies began to lower their prices because they were price gouging, and they saw a vice president saying, now, I become president, I'm going to deal with y'all when it comes to price gouging. But see, then you got Wall Street and big companies say, oh yeah, Trump is now back. So guess what? They're going to allow mass consolidation. They're going to allow all sorts of monopolies to be created. Oh, we now going to be able to have all these companies and we can now merge together. Do y'all know what happens when companies actually begin to merge together? Layoffs. You know what they call that? Economic efficiencies. That means that we have redundancies in the back office. And so therefore, we're going to begin to lay folks off. I'm just letting all y'all understand what's about to come down. Because see, America, y'all have decided that you want a king. And the reality is, we left that Pharaoh back after 2020. But see, some of y'all said, no, we want a king. We want him back. Oh, yeah, go ahead, King. Go on, King Trump. Send 11, 20 million people back. Deport everybody. Go right ahead. I can't wait to see your food prices jump because nobody's going to be available to pick that agriculture. Oh, I can't wait to the number when they start raiding companies. And then all of a sudden, y'all say, well, why is this store closed? Well, ain't nobody here to work the store. I can't wait for that to happen. Trump has already laid out what he's going to do with education. I can't wait for all y'all college students who voted for Trump. And he starts sitting here getting rid of your professors and holding federal funds back until you bow down to MAGA. I can't wait for that to happen. I can't wait for y'all to sit here. Again, I showed y'all the graphic of the low-income folks who vote. I can't wait when they start cutting food benefits. Oh, are y'all aware that there are Affordable Care Act subsidies that expire in 2025? Oh, I can't wait for the sick white folks in Kentucky and Alabama and Mississippi and Tennessee and Georgia and Florida and North Carolina and South Carolina. You start going, oh my God, you were supposed to get rid of Obamacare, not the Affordable Care Act. How? What, Donald, you are our king. You were not supposed to touch the Affordable Care Act. You were supposed to get rid of Obamacare because they're too dumb to realize it's the same thing. Oh, I can't wait till he makes the Trump tax cuts permanent. All the folks who somebody showed a tweet that was a hostess who said, that's right, I'm voting for Trump because I want my taxes to go up. And the person said, you a hostess at a restaurant. This tax cut don't affect you. I love the people who were going, I don't like Kamala's capital gains plan. You don't have $100 million. So what are you talking about? I can't wait for education and health care and on and on and on. And all the folk who claim that, oh, that's what I wanted. The Bible tells us when you want a king, understand, God will give you the desires of your heart, but that does not mean that that's operating within his will. Oh, yeah. So I know all these evangelicals, that's right. God saved Trump's life with the assassination because he wanted him to be president. I need them evangelicals to realize I don't know what Bible y'all reading, because I could show you numerous examples where God allowed things to happen because that's what people wanted. Oh, but then after it happened, they were crying out to the Lord, Lord, please save us. Oh, please save us, because this king lost his mind. See, when you beg for a king, when you plead for a king, when you reject the prophets who have properly advised you of what happens when you get a king, then you have to deal with the repercussions of the king's actions. And I'm letting y'all know right now, at 7:51 p.m. Eastern, on this day, November 11th, 2024, this video is going to be played back. And people are going to say, oh my God, we didn't know these things were going to happen. And then we're going to say, we tried to tell you. We're going to sit here and say, we tried to tell you before the election. We told you on November 4th. We told you on October 27th, and October 20th, and October 13th, and October 6th. And we're going to tell you, we've been telling you this here. But see, America has decided, America, white women have decided, Latino men have decided, a percentage 16, 18, some places 20% of black men have decided, small percentage of black women have decided, a percentage of Asian Americans and Asian Americans, majority of people in the country who actually voted have decided that they said, we want a king. Forget the lies, forget the deceit, forget the thievery, forget the thuggishness. We want a king. Well, come January 20th, when we actually celebrate a king in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., y'all are gonna get your king at 12:01 p.m. And speaking of that same Dr. King, I know what he said on April 3rd, 1968, when he said there's some dark days ahead. And he talked about the promised land. But you got to remember, that was a 43-minute and 16-second speech. It was a lot more than that bottom 2 minutes of the sermon he gave. But I need y'all to understand, we've been here before. America has had kings, and America has put those kings in office. And those kings have come tumbling down, and those kings have led us into depressions. Those kings have led us into recessions. So America, please, by all means, enjoy your king. Enjoy your modern day Saul. But remember, it was a David who came and took Saul down. And then you said, my God, thank God that was a David to save us from that wretched king named Saul Trump. I'll be right back. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
I'm Russell L. Honoré, Lieutenant General, United States Army retired, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, before we go to our Fiddler Win guest, do me a favor. So I told y'all we were dealing with Cash App and all that drama. And so here's a way for you to donate to our show using Cash App by using the Stripe app. If you just simply point your phone to the QR code right there, you can utilize the Stripe app to be able to give to us via Cash App. Cash App changed their rules. And so now this is the workaround that we have figured out in terms of how to still get our donations via Cash App. And so you can use the Stripe QR code. And so just point your phone right there. And everybody who does that at the end of the show, I'm gonna give y'all a shout out because again, we've told y'all how we actually do this in terms of, because we've been working on this this workaround, because they changed their rules and they said companies like ours, unless you're an LLC, you can't use Cash App to get donations. And so this is a workaround. If you use Stripe, and all you do is just put your email in and then put the amount for Cash App, it takes you right to your Cash App. It allows for you then to be able to do that. So let me say, let's see right here. And just so folks who think I'm lying, again, it takes you right to, so you point your phone to that, and then it allows for you, matter of fact, let me just go ahead and do this, because it's important. Like, a lot of y'all been hitting me up, and y'all been like mad, upset, and like, yo, man, how we need to do this here. And I've been, so if I point this here, so go to my phone. All right, so if you, hold up, there it is right there. So here's the Stripe. So QR code, let me zoom it in. QR code, all right, let me take it in. Go to Stripe, and then what'll happen is what you do is you put in your amount. So let's say you put in $50, you type in an email, and then all you do is you just tap Cash App and then pay $50, and then, oh, that's a card. So it takes you to Cash App, then boom, it comes right up. There you go. So that's how you do it, folks. So please utilize that QR code. And if we could put it in like the bottom right-hand corner, y'all figure it out. All right, y'all, a lot of people, 6 days later, are still, they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. It's some folk, they've been taking time off. They are upset. Other day we had Kelly on the show, and she was talking about, oh, Lord, we just tired. Folk just tired, upset. Black women like, hey, don't even come holler at us, because we ain't trying to hear that. It's a whole bunch of folks who are truly in their feelings. I totally understand that. And so psychotherapist and licensed social worker Miranda Frazier joins us right now. And so glad to have you here. So how are you walking people through to process this election trauma? And if we go back to 2020, white folks lost their mind. They tried to storm the damn Capitol. So let's be real clear. Supporters of Vice President Kamala Harris, they have not torn the country up. They have not tried to storm the Capitol and beat down cops and others. But what are you saying to people who really are stressing because of what happened on November 5th?
Right now, we're having the conversation that political stress is just as legitimate as generalized anxiety, major depressive disorder, schizophrenia. When it comes down to the impact of elections on an individual's mental health, we're talking about deep personal issues that are emotionally charged. And so we have people that are experiencing triggers and exacerbated symptoms of PTSD, especially among those who already have experienced trauma. And so the guidance is to take a breath, step back, distance yourself from social media and the news outlets to recenter yourself. Because if we allow ourselves to be consumed with what is going on in the world, not that you don't need to be knowledgeable, but to become obsessed and to be consumed with it, it only exacerbates these symptoms. And when it comes down to our African American community, more than any other group, we are affected by the uncertainty of the political climate, the political change. And so due to the historical trauma that we've already experienced, our population at a rate of 20% more than our white counterparts are experiencing these exacerbated symptoms.
You know, and so how do we have the conversation with folks? Because I mean, it's a lot going out here. I don't know if you saw this. This was circulated on social media. Give me a second. I saw this and I was like, oh my Lord, these people are losing their minds. They were upset. This dude got divorced, or his wife hit his ass with. Let me find this here. I saw this here. I don't really blame her either, but I'm just saying, let me pull this up on the iPad, because I saw this and I said, oh my God. So this is circulating. This was on, I forgot, one of those chat boards. And so this guy posted this here. I voted for Trump. My wife sent me divorce papers. What do I do? I didn't even know it was possible to be served divorce papers this quickly. I don't even know what to say. I'm shocked. I married somebody willing to throw away our entire life over politics. Last week we were happy. Today we're getting divorced. She won't have a discussion, says nothing will change her mind, and insists she is going to report my parents because they live off of disability. But my dad does cash work and auto repair, so now I'm working for my whole family. She wants me to put her out of the house. We have $300K in it, plus built a 4-bay garage since we bought it 3 years ago. I can't afford that. When I told her she was packing her things, she said, I guess she's finally going to realize how it feels to be fucked by a Democrat. ETA, her name is on the deed, but not the mortgage. I'm not confident that I can reason with her. What do I do? Where do I start? How do I fix this? Is anybody else experiencing this in the wake of election results? Doc, he effed around and found out.
Very much so.
I mean, so what would you say to somebody like him or his wife who's like, Renita's like, damn, that was cold-blooded, but I guess he wasn't listening. Wife was like, don't vote for that thug. Go ahead, what you say?
Yeah, so, communication is key. And first and foremost, both parties have to be willing to work on the relationship. As I stated in the beginning, the personal effects of these elections, it runs deep. And strained relationships are one of the effects of elections such as this. Not only do we have husbands and wives that are disagreeing, we have mothers and children and fathers, and nobody's getting along right now because they're looking at this election through a different lens, much different lens than what we are used to. And so in that situation, both parties would definitely have to agree to be willing to work on the marriage and then communicate.
You've got some, let me tell you something. Thanksgiving about to be real rough at some places.
Yes.
So what's your advice for dealing with MAGA folk at the Thanksgiving table?
So we have to set boundaries in place. We have to set boundaries in place and be aware of the conversations that we are entering into and be mature enough to know where to draw the line in the sand. We need community. We need our support system, our loved ones. And so we can agree to disagree. But we also have to protect ourselves and provide that self-care by establishing that boundary and not allow the toxicity to brew because of a difference of opinion. So hopefully everybody will be mature enough to stay in their corner of the ring, say what they have to say, and call a truce.
I'm going to tell you right now, wait, hold on. So this one dude tweeted, he said, post-election, I don't want to go visit my parents at Christmas. The boys love it, but I may have to veto it this year. I can't bake cookies with people who voted to make my children's lives so much worse.
And that's okay. That's okay. They have every right to, again, protect themselves, establish that boundary, and let the parents know that I'm just not in a place right now where I can engage in conversation. And after that, that gentleman has had time to sit with himself and come to a place where he can actually have that conversation with his parents, then he can make that next move. But he's got to be ready.
Yeah, another woman, in response to what he posted, give me a second. I want to show this here. She posted, she said, my sister and I are having the same conversation about the holidays and the rest of our family. It's going to hurt a lot, but we're cutting off those that voted for Trump. It's not about politics. It's about morals, values, and human rights. At least it's not our entire family.
That's right. That's right. Because you're only responsible for your response in any given situation. You got to focus on the things that you can control. You can't control other people, so they're handling it in a very healthy manner.
See, listen, for Thanksgiving, Texas A&M will be playing Texas. We haven't played them in about 12 years. We'll be playing for the SEC championship, and we hate Texas. Black and burnt orange don't go together, okay? But my niece, she's at law school, university, at a school in Austin. So we'll tolerate that. And, you know, my sister's husband, he pledged Omega, so did his son, and me and my brother Alpha. So I'll tolerate that. They start barking, I'm like, shut the hell up. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I'll tolerate the little MAGA hats. I'll tolerate the little Texas Longhorn stuff. But ain't no way in hell I'm tolerating the MAGA red hat. I'm just being straight up. They can't walk into the crib.
And if they're coming to your house, you have every right to.
Hell no, it's my brother's house, Doc. They can't walk in there. So we got a hierarchy in my family. They can't walk in there because I'm gonna cuss them out. I'm gonna tell you right now, anybody walking my brother's house for Thanksgiving with a MAGA hat, it's gonna be one uncomfortable ass Thanksgiving meal for them. I'm just being straight up. I ain't got no problem saying it. Yes, I am petty like that.
Well, we can definitely expect a few strained relationships in a situation like that. But hopefully it is something that you can pass in the future to maintain the family dynamics.
All right, questions from the panel. Let's see here. Makongo, you first.
Thank you so much for your insights here. My question is kind of connected to this. What advice do you have for people who are dealing with folks who didn't vote for Trump but didn't vote at all? Like,
oh hell, they the same. Oh, they the same. Oh, they the same.
Do you feel like the mentality is the same, or is it, you know, these are people who feel like the system let them down, so it's understandable that they chose not to engage? Or is your advice pretty much the same of what you've been giving Roland already?
So my personal opinion on that is that not taking a stance at all is taking a stance. I've seen people that have made comments in that I didn't vote at all. I'll let God work it out. I'll let the Lord handle it the way He wants to handle it. But as we all know, faith without works is dead. And so if we don't execute our civic responsibility to provide some input one way or another, you know, you're just setting yourself up to get what you get. And unfortunately, there are other people whose lives are at stake because one person, two people, what have you, didn't take their civic responsibility, their civic duty responsibly.
Julian.
Sis, thanks for being with us. Thanks for your advice. I want to go to something we did in the last segment where, Roland, we were talking about misinformation, about the extent to which Elon Musk and all those other lowlifes basically have lied. They've said things like people were better off under Trump economically, which is just not the truth. How do we deal with those who drank the Kool-Aid and are full of misinformation? I mean, because I can have a principled argument, I hope. I don't know. I haven't made my mind up about whether I'm going to be with my family or not because my brother is crazy. And he probably voted for Trump, and I don't want to talk about it. But in any case, he spouts this stuff that he reads or been on Fox or something. How do you deal with the misinformation? Like I said, I'm willing, if he says these are 10 things I'd like you to discuss, I'll discuss them with him. But if you're just going to tell me GD lies, I can't do that, and especially not over turkey and dressing. How do we deal with liars?
So again, you have to accept people for where they are. We cannot change anyone's mindset. And so the ownership lies with us to remove ourselves from the situation, draw a line in the sand, because no matter what you do, no matter what you say, you cannot change a person's mind until a situation occurs that is impactful enough that is going to create a paradigm shift, that's going to make them think differently. And oftentimes, until we have something that affects us personally, that hits us in our pocket, hits us in home, in our home environment, we don't tend to change. And so, again, we have to take ownership of ourselves, be responsible for our own actions, and those others, they just have to figure it out on their own or find out on their own.
Juanita.
Well, thank you for being here. My question is, how do we support people who are catastrophizing every day about what may come? As a former elected official, I can see the holes in Trump's policy. I can see the holes in a lot of the things that he campaigned on. And I know that a lot of what he campaigned on, the country simply does not even have resources to do what he said he was going to do. And some of it has actually been tried in the past and miserably failed. So I can see the reality of how much of this has any potential to get done. But when you have more of a logical conversation like that with folks, it does come off as dismissing concerns. And I understand why. So what is the best way to support folks who feel how they feel, and they are, and like you said, it's important to be aware and concerned, but not catastrophizing and bringing yourself into a point of just extreme anxiety every day before any of these things have materialized? What's the best way to support?
So for people who catastrophize, you can hear them out. Oftentimes people just want to be validated. They want to be heard. And just having that listening ear is really what's most important at that point in time. But ultimately, you've got to protect self. And so not being a crutch for that person, not enabling that person. I don't know if we're talking about a family member or just general public, but we cannot enable the maladaptive behavior to the point that it is affecting us personally. Self-care in such a heightened state right now is crucial to each and every one of us. And so again, we tolerate what we can to maintain the relationship, but then we have to remove ourselves, establish that boundary and remove ourselves from the situation as quickly as possible.
All right, then. Well, we certainly appreciate it, Miranda. Thank you for joining us. And it's going to be a whole lot of really interesting conversations taking place. And luckily in my house, ain't going to be none of those because I think it's only one crazy-ass MAGA uncle, and his ass ain't going to be there. So we good.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I'm being straight up, y'all. Just letting y'all know. I ain't got a problem saying it. And so he know he can't bring his crazy ass to my house. That ain't going to happen. So, all right, folks. This happened late last week. The Justice Department indicted several Jackson, Mississippi city officials, including the city's mayor, Chokwe Lumumba. Lumumba and Ward 6 Councilman Aaron Burks, Councilwoman Angelique Lee, and Hinds County DA Jody Owens were indicted on charges ranging from bribery to conspiracy in connection with a citywide scandal about the city's long-sought-after hotel development project. Lumumba released a video statement after the indictment.
Jackson residents, it is with great disappointment that I come before you. My legal team has informed me that federal prosecutors have, in fact, indicted me on bribery and related charges. To be clear, I have never accepted a bribe of any type. As mayor, I have always acted in the best interest of the citizens of Jackson. We believe this to be a political prosecution against me, primarily designed to destroy my credibility and reputation within the community. There is no coincidence in its timing being just before the upcoming mayoral race. My legal team will vigorously defend me against these charges. Again, while I am disappointed, I am not deterred. So I ask for your patience and your prayers during this process. Thank you.
Folks, let's go to Georgia, where the former Georgia DA tied to the case of Ahmaud Arbery, his murder, Jackie Johnson, is set to go to trial for her alleged interference in that case. She faces charges of misconduct for allegedly interfering in the investigation of Arbery's shooting death in February 2020. The case drew national attention when three white men, of course, tried to arrest, and they eventually killed Arbery. They were all convicted in federal court and pled guilty in state court as well. And so we will see what happens in that particular case. Folks, that is it. Let me thank Renita, Julian, and Makanga for being on today's show. Like I said, all these folk who are so happy the king is back, they're going to learn real soon. They're going to learn real soon, Julian, what happens when you elect a king and you have no guardrails, no restraints, and the Supreme Court has said, oh, We're good. He has total immunity. Okay. They about to learn.
They about to learn. They are about to learn.
And Renita, they can't come look at black people because we tried to tell them.
Yes,
no, they can. And the only thing I'll add, and I know we're at the end of the show, but I do think that the black men who were preemptively blamed about 3 weeks ago, you know, those folks who were doing that, those black men as a whole deserve an apology, in my opinion, because we covered that on the show about how they were preemptively saying that black men were gonna in droves vote for Trump, and that is not what happened. So
we tried to tell them, but they kept listening to all the white mainstream polls on Congo. And look, there were some places where, look, it moved 1%. It didn't move. Folks had various reasons. But even those folks, okay, all y'all folk who kept talking about contracts and stuff, on Congo, here's what they don't know. Under Trump, they bundle contracts. That means a lot of these black businesses can't even bid on the contracts. Two, the Trump folk stopped you taking racial data. So now you don't even know what the disparities are. But go on right ahead.
Yeah, folks are going to find out real quick that misery does not love company. I mean, that misery is coming for everybody. I mean, remember what he did with the farmers, you know, when they couldn't even get their crops to be sold overseas? Like, that's about to happen across the all different regions because of his tariffs plan that's going to go on. And so I heard one study said that one report said that the most Googled term was how to change votes after Trump got elected last week. People were seeing if they can change it because they're already having buyer's remorse. You're going to see what happens.
And again, hashtag, we tried to tell you. All right, thanks a lot, folks. Folks, don't forget, support the work that we do. All right, you already know there's other people out there, they ain't supporting what we do. So your support is absolutely critical. And so do this here. Please join our Brina Funk fan club. And so there are multiple ways to give. First off, Cash App users. We have found a workaround. And so you can utilize the app Stripe. All you do is put your phone, use that QR code, you put in an email, put in your amount, takes you right to your Cash App, boom, you can give right to us. You can also send your check and money over to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. You have PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. What's this here? Hold on one second. Okay, PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And shout out to Gene Clack, Adrian Gentry, Anthony Mosley, Yolanda Williams, Charles McLaughlin, Ronald Williams, Craig Wilson, Addie Wilson. They all gave using Cash Apps, and we certainly appreciate y'all doing so. And of course, the folks who gave to us via Zelle, Willie Urban, Devon Slaughter. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Who else? Lindsay Murray. Let me thank all of y'all who gave via Zelle. And let me see, I'm gonna type in Venmo. Let's see here. Ludmilla Conshin, Stephanie Dunaway, Roslyn Jamal, Trevin Johnson, Cheryl Petaway, Nakisha Smith, David Norris, Erica Syfax, Lois Bentley, Kayla Williams, Wungava Dimps, Sean Crosby Payne, Tiffany Walker, Pasquale Grant. Thank all of you for giving via Venmo. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?